I want to talk about the flywheel effect. Now, I want to kind of frame it visually for you. And I know this is obviously podcasts are an audio exercise, not a visual exercise. But I want to actually kind of frame this visually for you. Imagine a massive wheel, Say it's a wheel of stone. And imagine that it weighs 2,000 pounds. And it has an axle. And you're trying to get that wheel to turn. Imagine that it's kind of, the wheel isn't touching anything. It's held up above ground. And you're trying to get this 2,000 pound wheel to turn. And you can imagine, Naren, the difficulty in getting your first momentum to get that wheel to start to turn. But you push on it, you push on it, you push on it, you push on it. And, it's making imperceptible movements. But you stay after it. You don't give up. You keep pushing, and finally it starts to move a little bit, and then it moves a little bit more, and then it moves a little bit more, and then it moves a little bit more, and finally you've taken it an entire rotation. And imagine that you stay after that, and you keep pushing it and pushing it. At some point, the wheel starts to turn, and it develops momentum on its own, and it's unstoppable. It's unstoppable. Because the momentum from that 2,000 pound wheel turning is what Jim Collins calls the flywheel effect. Now, his analogy in business is all those imperceptible pushes on the wheel are the little things you do in your business that will improve the business. By themselves, it seems like a little thing. Like, you move that wheel, 1/16th of a turn. It doesn't seem like it makes much of a difference. But you put a bunch of those 1/16ths of a turn together, and next thing you know, that wheel is unstoppable.
Gary,
go ahead.
That is an excellent point, Gary, that you're making, because, if I look back at my career, over the last 15 years, we started with one person, and today we have 200 people. And it's really, we don't do 10,000 things. We do like 10 things, right? And what you call 1/16th of the wheel really well. And we get better at those 10 things. And I think every dental practice has the same thing. There are few things they have to do every single, like for example, Google reviews or excellent marketing. They just have to keep at it and just get better and better and better and better. If they do that, success is just a byproduct of that, 16 pieces making the wheel move automatically.
Right. Well, and in the book Good to Great, Jim Collins identifies companies in the Fortune 500 that made the transition from a good company to a great company. And only 11 companies made that transition. They were all in different industries. They're from 11 different industries. Only 11 out of 500. He used very specific analytics to define what made a great company. And these were analytics. And only 11 made it. And what he did with each one of those companies is he contrasted the company that made the transition from good to great with another company in the same industry that did not. And he contrasted it. And the contrast, so the one that did make the transition from good to great used this flywheel effect. The company that didn't, he characterized the opposite of the flywheel effect was what he called the gloom-doom loop. The gloom-doom loop is where something starts to, imagine, something circling the drain, where, something happens, something negative happens in your practice, and it's challenges, it's, we're struggling, and, our momentum stops, we get distracted, and all of a sudden, it becomes a circling of the drain leading to more and more failure, rather than, the momentum, the positive momentum of this 2,000 pound flywheel turning. It's the cumulative effect of the negative momentum that happens that really adversely affects your business, or in our case, adversely affects your practice. So you want to stay out of the gloom doom loop. You want to be always on the flywheel effect. Now let's talk about some things that relate to the flywheel effect as applies to your office. I think of our 24 systems, each and every one of those as being those small little things that by themselves don't make much of a difference, but when you start to put it together, it makes it turns that 2,000 pound flywheel. Mastering Google reviews, using whitening, as a gateway service. I'll just rattle some systems off. Having a scheduling template that allows us to achieve our daily goal every day. having a collection system where we collect everything we produce, having a regular format for team meetings. And I could go on and on. I could list all 24 of those. All 24 of those systems are part of the momentum that moves that wheel and then allows you to hit breakthrough. So the graphic that Jim shares in the book is, imagine a horizontal line, just a straight line of your business progress or your practice progress. It just kind of keeps chugging along. And all of a sudden you get the hockey puck effect. Naren, you're familiar with being a Canadian. If you're not familiar with the hockey puck, I'm going to be terribly disappointed in you. What does the hockey stick, I said hockey puck, hockey stick. What does the hockey stick effect mean in business?
Yeah, it typically means that it's an exponential growth. Like, in other words, just like the hockey stick.
Well, think about what a hockey stick looks like. It's got a small blade, but then a long stick.
Yeah. And it goes really up, right? I mean, if you look at a graph, it goes up, which means
higher than a 45-degree
really
angle.
Fast. Yeah, exactly.
It's maybe more like a 60 or 70-degree angle. So what Jim Collins talks about is, as you're starting to make progress in your, I'm going to use dental practice, as you're starting to make progress in your practice, and you're doing these little things, they don't seem to be having an effect. But if you keep at it, and that wheel is beginning to turn, all of a sudden you'll hit a point where it's breakthrough. And then the breakthrough isn't just a little bit of improvement. It's breakthrough that more looks like, a 70-degree upward angle on the curve.